Living with an abundant mindset is the opposite of living with fear, anxiety, and worry. Welcome to Health, Harmony, and Happiness with Kathy. I'm your host, Kathy Stricker. In my personal life, I am a wife to a dedicated law enforcement officer and mama to 3 lively littles. I'm an adamantine yoga teacher, health coach, community betterment advocate, and wellness enthusiast. But what I really like doing is connecting others with tools and resources that bring about health, harmony, and happiness. Whatever this looks like to you, I'm here to offer my own insights and tools from others that allow you to realize your full potential to live mindfully as your authentic best self. Allow me to be a guide in discovering what works for you. Hey everyone, thanks for being here today. I'm excited because I've got a beautiful, beautiful soul on the podcast today with me. Her name is Hemalayaa, and she is one of my teachers and creative inspirers, and actually helped me begin or have the courage to begin this podcast. So kudos to her. She and I sit down today and we talk about living with an abundant mindset and what that means exactly. She has a pathway that she teaches women called the EMBODY pathway, and it's all about embodying who we are as women and getting back to that true self, your creative self, your childlike self. So it's a fun conversation. She gives us a couple techniques to snap yourself back into present moment awareness fairly quickly, so stay tuned for that. And she'll also walk you through 3 steps to creating the opportunity for creating a more sustainable, abundant mindset. And just a little nudge to remind you to subscribe to the podcast and write a rating or review. I would be so grateful if you took just a couple moments to do that so that others can join in this health, harmony, and happiness movement. Enjoy the show today. How are you, Hemalayaa?
Hey, Kathy, I am so good. I love it. I love this whole podcast. I love what you're up to. It's fantastic.
I'm excited to reconnect because we haven't seen each other in a while and we haven't caught up in a while. So this isn't going to be all about that today, but I will get to hear some of what you've been doing over the past few months, and I hope you'll share that. And so I'm looking forward to it. Hema is going to take some time this morning to drop us all in, and I'm going to let her explain what that is and what that means, and she's going to just guide us through a little bit of a meditation type exercise this morning.
Awesome. Yeah. So everyone, what we're going to do is let go of what our exterior, whatever we've come in from or moving out of or driving from or getting to. So we're going to close our eyes for a moment and take some deep breaths in. And dropping in means coming in to ourselves. You know, so much of the time we are external, we're out there, we're being pulled in all different directions, or we're giving in all different directions. So in this moment right now, my invitation for us all is to wrap all of our arms around ourselves, or energetic like lines of energy that are out there, to like wrap that or bring that back into your being. Bring it back or drop it back in here. And with the breath, taking a deep breath in, deep breath in, deep breath in. And even more. More, hold. Jiggle a little bit here. Exhale. And we're going to even go another step here, and let's start to shake out. Move our head from side to side, shake out our hands, flick your wrists and your fingers as if you're trying to get something off your fingertips and you're flicking your hands. Move your head from side to side, and then we'll jiggle our shoulders and our chest. It sounds funny, sounds like we're 5 years old again. Open the mouth, and then take the arms up. Yeah. Jiggle your chest and your arms as if you're being electrocuted. Take a deep breath in. I promise you, you will feel something on the other side. So really go for this. Deep breath in, and tap your toes on the ground and shake your legs and tap your legs and shake everything like you're being electrocuted. One more breath. And bring your hands to your thighs, palms face up. Expand your heart and your whole rib cage with breath and air as you breathe in and out. Your eyes are still softly closed. In this space, we are now coming into our highest, most beneficial self, and we call in our allies, our support team, the archangels, angels, God, universe, source, whatever your connection is, Jesus, Buddha, Krishna, whoever that is for you, call that in for divine connection. Because that's what it is. It's divine connection. Calling in our seen and the unseen allies to support us here on this journey. So taking a deep breath into the space, feel held, feel that feeling, feel that experience of being held by your allies, held by God. And exhale. We are now going to the optimal level of health and well-being for our greatest self, our true self, our most magnificent self, our most authentic self. And so in this space, as we go in deeper and deeper into listening for those gems, those nuggets, those insights, those realizations for ourselves, whatever words Kathy and I share today, may that open up for you something for yourself that will support your journey. And one more breath here. Thanking your allies, thanking your present moment, this moment, thanking yourself, your highest self. And keep letting go so you can go into that place of deep listening for yourself. And before we open our eyes, we're going to move our head from side to side, just like we started out. Moving our head, saying no in slow-mo. No to the things that we are not. No to the untruths. No to those disabling, limited beliefs that are untrue. No to the not enoughness, never going to be enough. All that stuff. And then chin down and chin up. A little opening here into yes. Into slow-mo, yes. Yes to life, to love, to truth, to joy, to happiness, to harmony, to abundance, all of it. All right, bring the chin down again. This is where we slowly open our eyes, take a deep breath in, and bring the head back up. Dropped in.
All right. Thank you. Oh, that feels so much better. I don't know if you guys can feel that out there, but really, it does feel better, and it's such a good practice. And as we were doing that, I was thinking how much I forgot to do that in my recent months, and how much I have been missing that in my life. And I'll take time to do some deep breathing and some of the, facial exercises and noises and stuff. But really, there were some things that I already pulled away from that I thought, I need to bring this back into my life. Where have you been? I forgot.
Yeah. And for you and for so many of us, right? It's like we forget, and we're up to some big things. Like we want to be present for our families. We want to be present for ourselves, our community, and whoever we're leading, right? And this year started with you being in this, our little container where you were birthing. You were like in pregnancy with your baby now.
Yeah.
And this baby of your, like this bringing out of your voice into the world, your podcast, right? So like it's these reminders of what has created thus far when you've been in your highest self. It is those moments of giving yourself time. And we forget all the time. We're leaders and we're stepped in and we're like doing it and being it. And it's important to go back to source, right? Go back to, right, this is what nourishes me. This is what gives me insights. This is what opens me up. So,
right. And to just take a couple minutes and to do that. I mean, I'm practicing every day. I'm, journaling. I'm using prayer and meditation, but I'm not taking the time to just drop in and do what you just led us through. And it's funny because right when I got back to the studio to do this interview, my friend had left a gift on my door, and it's a book called Do Less. Like, thanks. Thanks a lot.
Less,
like,
drop in.
Yep. Maybe I need those reminders. And the devotions that I read this morning were all about like, what are you working for? Why are you, you can't be chasing the wind. And I'm thinking, what are you telling me to do today, guys? Like, this is just, I need to be doing less and being a little bit more present, or taking the time to do some of those, some of that dropping in a little bit more, I think. And that's not doing more, because that's producing this do less mentality that I have enough and I am enough.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm teaching people every day. And that's what I'm talking about. But I love that exercise. So thank you so much for sharing it.
Yeah, you're so welcome. You're so welcome. And it's my pleasure, truly. As you know, like the EMBODY pathway, I talk about EMBODY a lot. And it is truly that. It's like coming forward into, like I say, coming back into, but it's also coming forward into, okay, here we are again, present moment. Okay, got it. Oh, and I'm intact. I'm in embracing all aspects of myself.
Yeah.
And when we're not in that dropped in or connected place, it's like there's these parts of us that will rebel against us, and that's what self-sabotage is. That's what like totally procrastinating is, and not moving forward, and the dreams just sort of stir, and then they get buried and buried and buried. And does that make sense? Like it's like the more we don't give voice to our spiritual self and our true connected, like our self that is calling us from within. It's like, come on, girl, where are you at?
Right.
But we get caught up in the doing.
Right.
Yeah.
It's really hard when you are a doer, like you said, and that you're wanting to create and produce. And part of who you are is a creative being and a creative soul. So remembering that you are and you have enough, and there is enough time to do all of these things, is something that I definitely think that I struggle with, that abundant mindset. And so that's what we're here talking about today.
Here's one way to think about it, right? It's like abundance is one thing that we all desire. We all want abundance. We want this, because what is abundance? Abundance is expansion. It's spaciousness. It's like letting go. It's like knowing. It's having more time, having more, right? So the opposite of that is scarcity, lack, not having enough. So when we're running that's when we're in the hustle. The hustle is, I got to do more. I got to do more. If I don't do more, I'm not going to make it. Oh my God, I got to do this. I got to do this. And it's the opposite of abundance, which is trust.
Absolutely.
Right. So when we're in abundance mentality and experience, when life is flowing and serving to us exactly who we like in our highest self are, then we're in flow. We're in this like trust and flow. When we're in scarcity, we're never going to have enough. It doesn't even matter what would come in. We're never going to have enough. And there's usually, it's like tied in with self-criticism, and then that's the thing that keeps us okay. So you're a failure, and now I'm really like, you're proving your story, right? Like whatever story we're in, we're proving it,
right?
So when we're in the like scarcity story, like I'm never going to have enough, or I don't have enough, and I'm never going to get by, then we're going to keep proving our story, like unconsciously and consciously, both.
How do you get out of that mindset, and how do you, share a little bit about your personal story and how this abundant mindset came to be with you as well?
Yeah. So, I come from a family of immigrants, right? My parents came to this country from India, and they had nothing, truly nothing. So growing up in Canada where I was born, so they came here and I was born a few years later. They had never been here. They had no idea, and now they're raising a family and raising, like really trying to live life here. So the mindset also from in India, it's like competitive. It's because there's such a high population there, you're just in competition to survive, right? So they come from that mentality, and of course that gets passed on. And we grew up, my parents both worked in factories and that life, and I watched them struggle and not even have enough time to play with us or be with us. And when we did, we were watching TV because we just needed, like, they were exhausted and wanted to zone out. So growing up with that, of course, when I stepped into the life game on my own as an adult at 18, I literally, like, I knew I wanted to break it. But I had no idea what I even wanted to break, right? I just knew I wanted to break away from my family. Not that I don't love them. I love them. And I wanted to, I'm going to back up there. I don't even know if I wanted to break from anything. It was more, who the am I, right? Who the F am I? And so I was really looking for that. And so at 18 years old, I moved across the country from Toronto to Vancouver with $50 in my pocket. Like, literally I had $50 cash. That's it. Right. And so here I was stepping into adulthood, kind of the same path that my family took in some ways, because they were immigrants from another, and they just like traveled here. Mind you, they had, some friends that were here, but nothing really that was anything like their old life. So at least I was in Canada still, right? I went across the country and landed here, but I went into the hustle. I had like 4 jobs at one time. Yeah. Like, I was really in the mindset. So I was attracting in exactly what I only knew.
Yeah.
And until I started breaking free from like that by exploration, by allowing my creativity to be awoken, right? So I did things like the artist way. I got into like acting just for the art's sake of it. And,
sure.
I got into dance for fun. Like, I got into yoga practice like soon after that, like within a few years. And so breaking free out of like, the party mentality, like, trying to seek myself in that way. And I really did wake up to like, okay, this is obviously not me. This is not who I'm looking for. Being drunk and doing drugs is not who I truly am. And so I went on to really seek, I started doing yoga, and it was really like a moment. I remember the moment I was on my living room in a small little apartment that I was living in with my cat named Sardine. That was my cat. She used to play fetch. She's awesome. Nonetheless, like, I was on the floor on a rug. I mean, back then we didn't even have like yoga mats. That, the yoga mat thing is such a huge thing. So I was on a rug in my living room. And I'm lying there and I'm doing some yoga, and I'm just like, tears are flowing out. I'm like, I don't even know what I'm really sad about. Like, I don't even know, but tears are flowing out. And this has been like the 3rd time or something that this happened. So I'm like lying there, tears are streaming out. I am in, like, who am I? Who am I if I just let go? Who am I? Like, I want to experience who I am. So I played some music. I was like, okay, I need to play some music. I'd never played music while I was doing yoga before. I put on a song, and it's a Bhangra song. This is what I grew up with. It's like Punjabi hip hop, I call it. It's like really, very vibrant music. And I hadn't heard it for a long time. I mean, that whole pathway up until this point, I had been running away from my culture.
Sure.
Completely like, okay, who the hell am I? I'm obviously not, my parents don't get me. And then like this Western world doesn't get me, like, who am I? And I think a lot of first generations have this experience of like, I'm not Canadian, or I'm not like American, and I'm not Indian. Like, I'm both, but I'm not. Like, it's a really confusing thing. So up until this point, I had let go of my cultural things for a long time, like since early teens. I thought they were weird. I did, all the clothing, the food, and the song and the dance.
Just a lot of insecurities there.
Yeah. And then before that, though, we grew up with our family getting together every weekend with my cousins and my uncles and aunties. And we would always, the evening would culminate in dance at some point, with or without drinking. It was just like at some point, even if the people that were drinking, the people that weren't drinking, we were dancing. So here I am in my living room and I get that inkling to put on a song. And I turn it on. It's a Bhangra song. I start skipping around my living room. Like, this is like 3-minute song. I'm skipping around my living room. I'm still crying. I still got tears flowing out, but I'm smiling and crying, right? So it's like a different experience. And that is like such a mirror for exactly what we're talking about. So here I am on my yoga mat thinking that there's
with
something
that
wrong.
Scarcity mentality.
Totally. Yeah. Like I'm not enough. This is not, or, just questioning. And scarcity is questioning and resisting versus abundance. And that's me dancing around the living room in curiosity. So the curiosity was like, okay. And actually I want to just say this too. Like, curiosity is one of the cards and the themes in the EMBODY Oracle card deck that we just created that's coming out to the market like now.
Yay!
So exciting. I know. It's so exciting. So this, one of the messages is curiosity. When we have a curiosity for life, it opens up these pathways and you can create in that moment. Like, you can create anything. You've heard that, right?
Right.
So this was my experience of dancing and moving and opening these pathways. And I started I was like seeing myself. Like, at this time, I like never started teaching yoga. I never started teaching anything like I'm doing now, coaching, leading, nothing. But I started getting glimpses of me being on stages, me being on magazine covers. There was just so many little things. I had no idea how. I was like, oh, maybe it's because I'm going to be an actress or something, or maybe that's it, right? Like, I had no idea. So fast forward, here we are. I've been on 6 magazine covers. I've been, on stages of 1,000 people and plus, or, so I wouldn't have known that if I stayed stuck on that mat with thinking that I didn't have a way out or a way through. I don't even say like a way out is like you're trying to avoid. That's right. Another scarcity thing is like, okay, something's not right. But it's actually just a way through. And that's the breakthrough and the openings that create abundance. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. But then what are some of the keys to maintaining that abundant mindset or holding on to that and using that in your life?
So there's no such thing as holding on.
Okay.
That's one thing. So there's no such thing as holding on. It's like remembering, so balance is an illusion. Like, that thought of having something called balance is actually a limitation.
Like, how do we maintain that abundant mindset? Yes. How do we keep that with us, or keep that in the forefront of your mind, basically, is kind of what I'm wondering.
Yeah. So the first thing is intention. It's like you're really strong with your intentions. You wake up every morning and when you forget, like even like later on, if you forgot to do it in the morning, when you're in the like, oh, okay, here we go, life's hitting me in the face, you come into, okay, what is my intentions? And create some strong ass intentions that are, okay, I'm committed to being loved today, being in my passion today, being in my creativity. And so that's number one. The second piece is, don't judge yourself or criticize yourself when you do slumpity slump, go into the dumps. Like, it's okay. Accept yourself, love yourself, embrace yourself. And one way I found that is one of the quickest ways through is part of the EMBODY pathway is physically shake out my body, make some sounds like a child would to snap ourselves forward into presence again. So when we're in the lack and the scarcity, we're in our head. We are in our disconnection. We are lost. And when we are in abundance and openness, so that's how you sustain, is you remind yourself of who you truly are. You come back forward into intentions. You shake yourself free from whatever limitations, contractions, and holding that are happening. And the opposite of that is freedom, vibration, So that's the pathway of sustainability. It's not going to be, I got there and I'm always going to stay there. And shit, I fell off, or sorry, I'm swearing today.
It's okay.
But oh no, I'm going to now I'm going spiraling downward. And the truth is, that's what the mind will create. The mind will create, okay, see, it's not going to work for me. It's not going to work for me. This is an ongoing process of life.
And one of my other favorite practices that you introduced me to is just that adult temper tantrum, because we don't give ourselves permission to do that. But man, kids feel better after they have a tantrum. And then when you take the time and just do one, not obviously when you're around other people, that's the best way, but
you could your kids if you invite
exactly
kids,
but I mean, when you're in public, you don't need to have a tantrum in public at Target because something's not working out your way. But when you're at home, when you need to just release and let go and snap back into the present, and there's no better way than to just have a little tantrum. And Hemalayaa leads people through this awesome exercise that does just that. And it's beautiful. And when you can access that and do that, it does exactly what you said. It brings you right back.
It creates space, right? And a space is abundance. Mm-hmm. And so I want to also say, yes, you're home, and truly when you are in public, not in the sense of what you're thinking of walking down the street, but when you have those moments that you are totally disconnected, go into your car. Car is my favorite place to do this because it's soundproof. And I scream, not when I'm driving, but when I'm parked, I scream my face off in my hands. I'll cover my mouth, but I won't hold back. And that's the trick to it, is vibrate, scream, shake, open your mouth, breathe. Bathrooms are great because I flush the toilet and then I totally scream, right? So I don't want to limit it to just when we're at home, or, because the child doesn't wait, right? The child is in that bank in the most quiet place, or a library, and it's got, that child has feelings. Our little child has feelings. They're not going to wait. They are going to allow themselves the freedom to move that energy. And then they do snap into presence.
Good point.
It's so immediate. It's so immediate. But us as adults, we created this belief and this practice of holding it in,
pushing it down and saying, nope, you're fine. You just have to get through this.
Totally. Exactly. And in order for us to bring in, one of the first modules in my program, as you know, is releasing the mindset. Release the mindset, which is directly connected to that inner child wisdom. So I call it the child wisdom awakening. And so we incorporate that, not to walk around like crazy people, but to walk around like sane, a vibrant, alive, awake people. And so if you have a glimpse of yourself, or maybe a memory of yourself, maybe when you were a child, or maybe even in your adult life, that glimpse of when you felt for a moment or two or three where you were like, oh my God, whew, there I am. There I am. I'm connected again. Whoa, where was I? And then boom, it's gone again. So this pathway of EMBODY that I'm sharing with you today is absolutely the through line for everything I've ever created, even had the possibility of creating. All the abundance mentality and living in that, all of it has come from this particular pathway.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's powerful.
That is so cool. It is. It's very powerful. And I went through Hemalaya's program earlier in the year, and you may have heard me talk about the fact that that's where this podcast stemmed from. So Hemalayaa first got me started with the Artist's Way a year ago in the fall or so, and then I ended up going through her program as well, and it really is it was a great way to like get through a bunch of that gunk that I was holding on to. And sometimes I think my husband thinks that I'm probably a little out there and crazy because I do these things. And I did this morning with Huck here at the studio, and I was kind of making all these sounds and like doing these weird things with my face. And he was sitting there watching me and just laughing. And I'm like, it feels better, Huck. You got to do it.
Yes, that's amazing. Yeah, I'm so proud of you, truly. It was an honor to have you in the program at the beginning of this year, truly, because and I mean, there was a lot of resistance for you too. Like, right? The mind comes up. It's like, I can't, you try to figure it out. And we all have our different coping mechanisms, and they're usually the ones that block us from really being in our abundance. And you really move through it. You're such like an incredibly powerful woman with like, what I love about you is like you took the coaching, even though it was really challenging. And one of the pieces was we uncovered this dream of yours or this vision of yours that you saw for yourself of being a host of this talk show, this podcast. And it is so your calling. Like, you are owning it. You're powerful in it. You're bringing incredible tools to the world. So this is for all of us who hesitate or let our coping mechanisms or sabotage mechanisms like get in the way. And that's scarcity, right? We let that scarcity be the true story.
Scarcity is a huge thing for me. It's a huge thing for me. And I place work as one of my stoppers. So I just think I need to work. And it's to the detriment of myself and my family. These are things that I love doing, though. I love doing this podcast, and I love teaching yoga. And I need to remember the abundant mindset. And I think we all get stuck in that because... Well,
here's the thing, if you don't mind. Like, I just will say this. Do. Yeah, like... The thing is, you love to do these things. So why you love to teach and to do this podcast, is it because it reminds you of being. And there are pockets of being within the service and the purpose that you're doing, right? Like, so there's this connection to it. I would encourage you to not make yourself wrong for being passionate about, like, one of your things is actually bringing out so much content. You're prolific. Now you've focused on it, and now you're in. And it reminds you of being present in your family, being present for yourself, being present for the world. So I think it's great. I think it's amazing. And you're also learning like how you want to deepen intimacy in your relationships is what I hear, like in your family.
Yeah.
And so allow the lessons that you've created in your podcast, in your life, your teachings, to then move into. So that's called integration. And that's part of our program too, that we teach is like integrate. Like, we have all these openings, and then we have all these breakthroughs, and then we have all this like shifting into abundance mentality and beingness. So allow that to integrate into your life, bring it into your life.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I feel like you absolutely have been doing that. So I'm giving you kudos to like, you are being an incredible mom, and
thanks.
You're being in service, and you're being with your highest self while you're doing all of that.
I'm trying to. And some days I'll tell you it's an uphill battle, and I feel exhausted and tired and like I just don't have another ounce of energy in me to do anymore.
So that's a good measure for you, because your tendency is to go over. So then you keep proving that scarcity story. Right. Do you see what I'm saying? So for you, I would say particularly, and those of you who are addicted to doing, when you get to that point, shorten the time between when you're in like flow to complete exhaustion. Shorten the time in between those, because we will never get to the does that make sense actually?
Yeah.
Yeah. You'll just like notice what your symptoms are, your things are that you start feeling before you go completely over the edge of exhaustion. So you back it up to, okay, what was my first clue?
Yeah.
And what was my second clue? So I know I'm in the first like yellow zone. Then I'm in the red zone, orange zone, and then I'm in the red zone. So those are my three. When you're in the red zone, that's exhaustion. You've gotten to exhaustion. So if you know what your yellow and orange are before it gets to full red, then you can measure for yourself and be like, okay, I'm disconnected from myself. What do I get to do in order to come into full abundance again?
And like part of it is that I just want to do everything, and I have these high expectations for myself, but it's okay to not do everything. You know?
And we've been talking about that for you is delegate, get support, receive it. You are not the lone wolf. The lone wolf mentality does not serve, never did, but we thought it did.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. We've got to wrap this up. How does EMBODY bring health, harmony, and happiness into your life? And you've kind of touched on that a little bit already, but bring it back and unpack that just a little bit for us.
Sure. EMBODY is a 3-day training, just FYI for those of you who don't know. It's also a pathway. EMBODY, the acronym stands for so the letters are EMBODY. E is empowerment. M is movement. B is breakthroughs. O is openings. D is dharma. And Y is yoga, which is you. So we always bring it back to you, yourself, your love, your connection to yourself. So that's the acronym. And bringing health, harmony, and happiness into your life when you are embracing your whole self. Like what EMBODY means is like you are completely in your full expression. You're in your full leadership. You're in your full connection to life, to those in front of you, around you, yourself, God, all of that. And you're in your highest power. So you're standing in your power, serving in your power. You're not disconnected or fragmented. That's what EMBODY means. So EMBODY is a 3-day live in-person training. I also do smaller workshops, but that one is like the main dealio. We have 2 of them in 2020, which is super exciting.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. Yay. Houston. Congratulations.
Thank you. Houston, Texas is our first one in April 3rd to the 5th. And then we have San Diego in the fall, October 3rd to the 5th. And so those 2 training events, I invite you women to come and unlock your feminine power. And so this is, it's going to take us through the acronym of EMBODY and give you the tools to sustain exactly what we were talking about. Sustain that abundance. Keep moving forward no matter what hits you in the face or the hustle takes you over or the scarcity knocks you down and makes you believe something. This pathway shows you how to break those stories and come into your highest truth, because your highest truth is abundance. Your highest truth is open and spacious and is
childlike, free.
Yeah. Totally. And for women, it's also sensual. It's sensual and expressive in that way too. And I'm not talking sexual, but sensual, right?
Absolutely.
Slow
it's that feminine
down.
Side.
Yeah.
Where we
slow
can be
down.
Soft.
Totally. Exactly. Yeah. Soft and powerful at the same time. That is exactly right. Totally.
Exactly.
And then I
went to this last year. Right. I went to this last year when it was just one day, and it was a blast. I had so much fun, and I came back so energized and so present and ready for the end of the year, because I went in October, and it was a great start to the last 90 days of the year, basically. And and it was shortly after that I found out I was pregnant, and it was a beautiful, beautiful year. And it was all about abundance. I'm just connecting this right now. It's so true. It was awesome. Wonderful. It was wonderful. So if you get the opportunity to go, grab it because it is wonderful, and it's so fun to learn from you and to take these practices and put them into play in your own life.
Yeah. And if you feel called, like truly, you can just DM me or go to my website and contact me.
That's exactly what I was asking next. How can people connect with you?
That's perfect. So my name is spelled Hemalayaa. It's pronounced Hemalayaa, and Hemalayaa.com is my website. And then that's who I am on Instagram as well. So you can send me a DM, you can send me an email, and I am so happy to support your journey of being in your most authentic, amazing, radiant, connected self, joyful, bringing us forward into like pure joy and freedom.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I will link to all of this in the show notes so that you all have it and can easily access it. But I truly hope that you do start to follow Hemalayaa and consider going to one of the EMBODY workshop conferences. What do you call
EMBODY
them?
live event, yeah.
Live event, because it is so cool. It's such a pleasure to have you on, Hemalayaa, and to get to hear about your journey, hear about this project that you are working on. You also mentioned you have some Oracle cards that are coming out, and how do people get a hold of those?
Yeah, so actually you'll find those on my website as well.
Okay.
We're just building the page. In fact, right after this, I am having a call and we are finishing up that page. So by next week, by the time you guys hear this, it'll be up. So you can go to my website and we have a page that you can order directly. It's so exciting. And then if you're interested in like knowing more about the program that Kathy took to launch this podcast, to be the incredible mother and leader that she is, I am leading that. I always start the year with one of those, and then we have one mid-year too, and that's called the Secret Sauce Mastermind. So I'm very, very excited about that.
Cool.
It starts with 4 live days in person, and then we go into some very strong, amazing support for you to bring it into your life and you rock it out.
Cool. So and all that can be found on your website too, right?
Yes, exactly.
Awesome.
Yes.
Okay, we're going to wrap it up. Thank you again. I hope you have a blessed day today, the rest of your day, and that you don't get blown away out there as we are nearly getting blown away here today. But thank you so much for your time and for fitting this in your schedule. I know you're a busy, busy lady.
Yeah, I adore you, and I'm so, so proud of you, truly, and it's my honor to be with you in this space for sure.
Thank you. Well, it's wonderful that you were the one who said, oh, that's your project. You need to create this podcast. So thank you very much. Okay, guys, so you heard it. Living with an abundant mindset can definitely have its moments and can be tricky. But I hope that some of the tools that Hemalayaa gave you today were things that you can see yourself incorporating or implementing into your own life. I will link to all of her information as well as a few of the highlights from the show on the show notes page, KarenYogaWellness.com/podcast21. And you can head over there and get all of that info, be linked to her website. And I think she's even got a couple free downloads on her website. So definitely take the opportunity to head to the show notes page and check her info out and follow her on Instagram. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Thanks for tuning in. If you like what you hear, help us grow this podcast by sharing it with even just one other person. And it would mean so much to me if you would take a moment of your time to write a review. Your comments and feedback are what help me continue to bring you topics and guests that can help you and others on their journey in creating health, harmony, and happiness. Remember to head on over to KarenYogaWellness.com to get the show notes and links from today's episode. Follow me on Facebook and Instagram at Karen Yoga Wellness, and to continue connecting with more resources that could help you enhance health, harmony, and happiness in your own life, subscribe to this podcast. Thanks again for listening.